Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to IICDEM 2026, where democracy meets delivery and where the world comes together to strengthen the most powerful idea humanity has ever built, which is the right of the people to choose. We'd like to begin this morning with a traditional ceremony, which is the lighting of the ceremonial lamp, and I'd like to request our guests up on the dais to please take the lead in lighting the lamp. Ladies and gentlemen, in India, on occasions such as this, it is customary to begin the program with a traditional lighting of the lamp, a timeless symbol of illumination and auspicious beginnings, a simple yet meaningful ritual in many parts of India and Asia to mark an auspicious start. The flame is a symbol of light over darkness, of clarity over uncertainty, and hope over hesitation. It also represents knowledge and wisdom, and the shared intention that this gathering begins on a positive and purposeful note. May this light guide our thoughts and conversations through the program ahead. May it stand as a quiet invocation of wisdom and knowledge, setting a sacred and purposeful tone for all that is to follow. Perhaps some of you know of the India International Institute of Democracy and Election Management, IIICDEM, a premier global training and knowledge center in the domain of democracy and election management, set up by the Election Commission of India 15 years ago to build capacity to share best practices and strengthen electoral integrity worldwide. Through its training programs, research and innovation-led initiatives, IIIDEM has trained election officials and democratic practitioners from over 100 countries, facilitating the exchange of best practices and contemporary solutions for free, fair, credible, and transparent elections. May I now invite from IIIDEM, its Director General, Shri Rakesh Kumar Verma, to please welcome all our guests from our member states and our delegates. May I request those who are near the doors to please either step out so that we can close the doors. Thank you.
Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. Ganesh Kumar, Election Commissioner, Dr. S.S. Sandhu, Election Commissioner, Dr. Vivek Joshi, Secretary General, International IDEA, Dr. Kevin, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, esteemed representatives of election management bodies, members of the diplomatic community, academic and electoral experts, colleagues, members from media, and friends. It is my privilege to welcome you all to India International Conference on Democracy and Election Management 2026. I would first like to welcome our delegates from 42 election management bodies from across the world. I hope we have been able to make your arrival and stay comfortable. Please don't hesitate to reach out to our teams of chief electoral officers who are coordinating and facilitating your visit for any assistance. They'll be happy to help you. I would next like to welcome our delegates and experts from International IDEA who have joined us for the conference and wish them pleasant stay at Delhi. I would also like to welcome heads of mission of 27 countries who are attending. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to more than 100 experts from over 70 national institutions, including Indian Institutes of Management, Indian Institutes of Technology, National Law Universities, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, and other premier and reputed universities of India. I would also like to welcome our esteemed lawyers joining us today for the conference. I would also like to welcome our national level master trainers who are the backbone of our training and capacity building programs and have joined us for this 3-day conference. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our friends from print, electronic, and social media who have joined us today. Last but not the least, I welcome my colleagues from the Election Commission of India and IICDEM at the conference, particularly the chief electoral officers from all states and UTs and their teams. Friends, this conference holds a special significance as India assumed the chairship of Council of Member States of International IDEA for year 2026, a role that reflects India's long-standing engagement with democratic practice and electoral cooperation. The theme for India's chairship, Democracy for an Inclusive, Peaceful, Resilient and Sustainable World, reflects a broad and multidimensional understanding of what democracy must deliver in the 21st century. The conference has been organized around two interconnected thematic pillars. The first pillar is reimagining democracy for the future, a forward-looking conversation about how democracies can respond to new pressures, new technologies, and new expectations from the citizens. The second pillar is independent and professional election management bodies for sustainable democracy, which emphasizes on the role of credible, independent, and professional election management bodies as the institutional backbone of democratic system, underscoring that effective elections depend on both rules and capable institutions. Friends, the program is spread across 7 global thematic sessions, 11 sessions on model international electoral standards, and 25 practitioners-focused sessions on global best practices and innovations. Together, these sessions will explore emerging trends in democracy, examine the legal and institutional standards that shape electoral systems, and share practical experience from the field. At the end, I would once again welcome you all and wish you a productive and enriching experience at the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, India's elections are not only an administrative exercise, they represent the living expression of a constitutional promise renewed through every vote. To set the context for our discussions, we would like to now share with you glimpses of a documentary on India's elections that will give us a brief idea of the scale of the complexity and institutional commitment that shapes the world's largest democratic exercise. India Decides is a docu-series that chronicles India's democratic journey spanning over 75 years. And this docu-series over different parts portrays the visionaries who laid out the processes, which have stood the test of time, the sentinels of democracy who deliver the vision with precision, and the citizens whose choices define the nation, affirming the enduring strength of the world's largest democracy. May I request the Chief Election Commissioner, Shri Ganesh Kumar, to please press on the remote that we have for us to be able to share this democracy film series, the docu-series called India Decides. Please be seated, sir.
India, a fusion of vibrant cultures, a collection of traditions, thousands of years old, home to over 1 billion people. A nation that is a living portrait of the power to decide its own fate, the power of democracy.
Elections in India being one of the largest contested exercise on earth.
Sheer number and a variety in the country is a big challenge.
For elections, everything is time-bound, and that is the beauty of our election machinery.
इतना विशाल देश है हमारा, इतने अलग-अलग राज्य हैं, इतनी अलग-अलग भाषाएं हैं। भी इलेक्शन कमीशन जो है, वो बखूबी इलेक्शन जो है हर इलाके में कंडक्ट करती है।
Behind every polling station created in the most remote corners of India, there were many unsung heroes. It was a journey of 1,000 steps with one simple goal: to ensure that every voter, no matter their location, could have a voice. India decides through its diversity.
मैं भारत की नागरिक हूँ, मेरी पहचान भारतीय है, जेंडर बहुत बाद में आता है।
India decides because in the end, the strength of its democracy, the voice of the people, defines its destiny.
We have created sufficient democratic surpluses for the world as a whole.
The electoral roll preparation in India also becomes the world's largest exercise.
हिंदुस्तान एक उदाहरण बन गया पूरे वर्ल्ड के लिए।
जो हिम्मत है वो हमारा संविधान देता है, ये कर्तव्य है हमारा, संवैधानिक अधिकार है।
The future is written by those who express their voices. Power to shape tomorrow lies in your hands today. The decision is yours.
India decides. A powerful reminder that the strength of democracy is ultimately measured not only in numbers but in trust, in participation, and in the integrity of institutions. We have with us Mr. Arjun Nowar, Managing Director, Warner Brothers Discovery for India and South Asia, and the co-chair of FICCI's Media and Entertainment Board. Mr. Nowar oversees the business in the region, leading operations across a diverse portfolio of global brands and networks in kids, entertainment, sports, and infotainment genres. Glimpses from the documentary that you just saw is a three-part docudrama series titled India Decides, produced by Warner Brothers Discovery Channel to showcase the history and management of India's electoral processes. I'd like to invite Mr. Arjun Nowar to please say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to be here today in the presence of the Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, Election Commissioners Dr. Sukhbir Singh Sandhu and Dr. Vivek Joshi, along with distinguished guests on the stage, members of the Election Commission, and all the international dignitaries gathered here. India is a country of extraordinary diversity across regions, languages, cultures, beliefs, but there is one process that unifies the country and brings the nation together with consistency and purpose. That process is the election. From the first general elections held in 1951, India has come a long way. What began as a bold experiment has evolved into the world's largest and most complex electoral exercise, sustained through vision, institutional strength, and public trust. At Warner Brothers Discovery, we create content that documents real worlds, real systems, and real human effort. Our storytelling focuses on institutions, ideas, and people that shape societies at scale. We believe well-researched, responsible storytelling can deepen public understanding and strengthen civic awareness. It is in that spirit that we collaborated with the Election Commission of India to co-produce India Decides, the trailer of which you just saw, a documentary that examines the general elections through the working of an institution that carries one of the most complex and rigorous mandates anywhere in the world. The Election Commission of India is responsible for enabling close to 1 billion voters to exercise their democratic choice across 1 million polling locations, supported by nearly 15 million personnel. 2024 was a landmark year for democracy globally. More than half, and they exercised the right to vote. Amongst these nations, India witnessed the grandest of them all, not just by the sheer volume of numbers, but the effort put behind to realize the outcomes. India's Lok Sabha elections in 2024 set a world record as the largest election in human history, with close to 650 million citizens exercising their power granted to them by the Constitution, the power to decide and choose their leader. This scale is unmatched, but scale alone does not define the achievement. What defines it is the commitment to reach every voter, including those in the most remote and inaccessible parts of the country, from mountainous terrains to deserts to islands to forests, border villages. The Election Commission ensures that no voter is excluded because of geography. Equally significant is the Commission's focus on inclusion. Special provisions for senior citizens, people with disabilities, and voters with limited mobility reflect a system that goes beyond compliance and works actively to bring democracy to the doorstep of every voter. Behind every smooth and peaceful and participative election is a vast, largely unseen network of booth-level officers, planners, security personnel, people who verify door-to-door people's eligibility and antecedents and ensure the integrity of the process. It is a continuous exercise and the largest of its kind in the world. The documentary, India Decides, chronicles how India, the world's most diverse democracy, continues to uphold free and fair elections through its vision and preparation. For us at Warner Brothers Discovery, it is a matter of immense pride to partner with the Election Commission of India to bring this story to our audiences. The documentary reflects a 75-year-old legacy that has not only strengthened the Indian democracy, but has also set benchmarks globally. We look forward to continuing to tell stories that matter and to building more such meaningful collaborations in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Novar. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have with us a distinguished voice representing the global democratic community, Dr. Kevin Casas Zamora, the Secretary General of the International IDEA, a Stockholm-based intergovernmental organization advancing democracy. He's also a senior fellow at the Inter-American Dialogue in Washington, D.C., and has over 3 decades of experience in democratic governance, having served as Costa Rica's second vice president and Minister of National Planning. He has also held senior roles at the OAS, Brookings Institution, and UNDP. May I invite Mr. Kevin Casas Zamora, Secretary General, International IDEA, to address the gathering.
Subaki Namaste. Good morning, Mr. Chief Election Commissioner, Honorable Election Commissioners, representatives of diplomatic missions, and distinguished representatives of electoral and academic institutions from international IDEAs, member states, and beyond. On behalf of International IDEA, let me say how pleased, how proud I am to be joining so many of you here in Delhi for this landmark conference on democracy and election management. I want to thank the Election Commission of India and the India International Institute for Democracy and Election Management, and particularly the Honorable Chief Election Commissioner Ganesh Kumar and IICDEM Director General Rakesh Kumar for their hospitality and their partnership and their friendship. I must say that Delhi has offered an especially warm welcome for those of us from International IDEA's headquarters in Stockholm. It may be winter here too, but trust me, it's nothing like in Stockholm. In my brief opening remarks, I want to do three things. First, I'll say a few words about the background for this event and the partnership between India and International IDEA. Second, I'll reflect on the state of play for elections globally and how this context is influencing our institute's long-standing engagement with electoral processes. And third, I'll share some thoughts about what this event means for the future of democracy and democracy support in the world. This conference is being held at the outset of India's chairship of International IDEA. For any of you not so familiar with our institute, IDEA is an intergovernmental organization with 35 member states from all regions of the world and a mandate to support democracy globally. We pursue this mission in partnership with our member states through policy-relevant knowledge production, global capacity development programs, convening of dialogues, such as this one, and advocacy to advance and protect democracy. And I am very proud to say that India was one of the 14 countries that founded our institute 31 years ago and has been part of our journey ever since then. International IDEA is governed by a council of member states with a chairship that rotates annually. In 2026, the gavel is held by India, and specifically by the Election Commission of India under the leadership of the Chief Commissioner. This is the first time India has chaired IDEA since 2008, and the first chairship from outside Europe and North America since Namibia in 2018. As a fellow citizen of the so-called Global South, this makes me very happy. Among many things, this is an ostensible proof that International IDEA is a truly global organization. I am even happier because India is promising a very active chairship, focused, as we've heard, on the theme of democracy for an inclusive, peaceful, resilient, and sustainable world. And this, you will agree with me, could not be more timely. This includes, very importantly, and I should emphasize this, providing funding to support our collective work. Throughout 2020 strategic pillars, number one, reimagining democracy for the future. And number two, strengthening the independence and professionalism lines of effort. Despite the considerable experience and expertise at IDEA, at the Electoral Commission of India, and at IICDEM, we need your help to flesh them out and your collaboration to maximize the impact from our joint effort. That's where this event comes in. We look forward to hearing your input during the EMB Leaders Plenary later today and throughout the rest of the conference. Let me now turn to the larger context. First, in terms of elections, which is the predominant, though certainly not the exclusive, focus of this event, and then as it relates to democracy and the multilateral system. The context in which elections take place has changed dramatically in recent years. Political polarization, illicit funding flows, aggression both online and offline, and digital disinformation supported by obscure algorithms and bots have all disrupted elections globally. Perhaps most concerning, outright election denialism has spread around the world, with politicians from the United States to Peru and from Georgia to Bangladesh using spurious arguments to question credible results. As you all know, trust is the key feature of any effective election. Yet, trust in elections is being eroded. Many voters in many countries feel apathy, a skepticism, or both. In 2024, we saw the greatest round of elections in history as 1.6 billion people cast ballots in 74 national elections, including here in India. Yet, global electoral turnout that same year was down nearly 10 percentage points when compared to 15 years before, while around 40% of elections suffered some form of dispute over their credibility, from legal boycotts to party complaints against the outcome. Still, threats to elections are only half of the story. Equally important is that despite so many challenges, elections are resilient. Amid broad democratic backsliding, elections continue to offer an opportunity for renewal. Indeed, in the rare cases where countries have managed to reverse democratic backsliding, cases like Poland, Slovenia, Senegal, Guatemala, Brazil, it happened because of an election. Democracy can be restored as long as electoral routes for political change remain open. Protecting electoral integrity is thus vital for democracies, requiring whole of society coordination and investment. And at the center of this effort sit election management bodies, or EMBs. These organizations, times of radical change and mounting threats. Electoral processes have been at the heart of international IDEA from the very start. The central role of our electoral assistance function is reflected in our very name, and it has remained a critical component of our global programming and research agenda to this day. To put it simply, elections are the foundation on which international IDEA was built. And in the 3 decades since our institute was founded by India and other like-minded democracies, the demand for expertise and dialogue on electoral integrity has only increased. This is why, over the past few years, partly impelled by what we saw during the global election cycle of 2024, we have reinforced our strategic focus on the essential role of elections in democracy. We launched new projects focused on protecting elections. We emphasized the urgency of defending electoral integrity in our global communications and advocacy. We doubled down on our electoral analysis, both in our flagship Global State of Democracy report and in fact sheets that we publish ahead of key votes. We launched a new landing page on our website featuring an interactive map of the world's election alongside events, blogs, and news. We did all we could to share and reinforce stories of electoral success and risk, including with a global report on the 2024 super cycle that I invite you all to read. It's available online. And finally, we enhance our collective learning offering with a series of exchanges among our member states on various aspects of electoral integrity, culminating in a Keystone Conference in June of last year in Stockholm that was attended by electoral leaders from around the world, including India's own Chief Commissioner. That event produced the Stockholm Consensus on Electoral Integrity, a document highlighting the essential work of EMBs to a global audience and laying out a robust agenda of action for the future of election management and assistance. The Stockholm Consensus is now a guiding star in our shared work to support and protect elections worldwide. Yet, these exchanges have achieved something much greater than innovation and innovation by electoral managers in confronting a growing array of challenges, whether it is cost effectiveness at a massive scale, like in India, or civic education programs in South Africa, or effectively promoting women's political participation and representation in Mexico. Each of these initiatives was developed in a specific national context, but each has relevance for the broader community. In other words, these cases are not just good stories. They are very practical guides for action. They also speak to the value of the comparative, inclusive, and intergovernmental approach that has defined international IDEA from the beginning. It is the same approach that underpins this week's event. But this event and India's chairship of international IDEA carry even deeper meaning. As a rising global power and home to the world's largest electoral exercise, India is an indisputable and indispensable player in the future of democracy. And India's growing role in IDEA is particularly important because it shows a robust commitment to advancing the cause of democracy from the global south. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a proud Costa Rican. I come from this part of the world, from the south. And I strongly feel that advancing the democratic cause is our responsibility too. The proud democracies from Asia, Africa, and Latin America, in many cases born from long struggles for self-determination, are the living proof that democracy is not a Western construct, but a universal aspiration. It is an aspiration rooted in the values that inspire India's own democratic liberation, from the Salt March to universal suffrage. In the beliefs that human beings are endowed with the right to elect their governments in free and fair elections, to speak up and dissent, to organize in civic groups free from coercion. This is what those of us here, the remarkably diverse collection of humanity gathered in this room, this is what we still believe today. This is why we do what we do. Protecting and speaking up for those values is now more urgent than ever. The global spread of democracy, which was once viewed as inevitable, has not just stalled, but is regressing. International IDEA's data show that more countries have declined in democratic performance than have improved for 9 straight years. Meanwhile, the headlines of the past months have belied any presumption that the cause of democracy will be sustained by the same countries who led the charge for the past 80 years or so. If democracy is to be resilient, if democracy is to be renewed, then we need new champions to carry the torch. That's why India's leadership is so welcome. At a time of rapid geopolitical future. More importantly, in this country, elections are truly awe-inspiring events. And adherence to foundational democratic values like constitutionalism is part of the national identity. India has an immensely important story to share with the world, which is not just about what is happening now in terms of growth and development, but also and perhaps fundamentally about what this country, against the odds, has managed to build over the past 79 years when it comes to free and fair elections, respect for the rule of law, tolerance, secularism, press freedom, all the things that make a democracy worthy of the name. This is the real Indian miracle. Protecting this immense national achievement and sharing with the rest of the world its myriad lessons is vital at this fraught moment for democracy. If democracy lives on, it will be because a country like India keeps standing up for the values that it has embraced for the past 8 decades, the values that all of us here profess to believe in. So once again, thank you for your time, your attention, and most important, your commitment to democracy. I look forward to our discussions this week and to continuing our work together to keep the light of democracy shining through the darkness. This light is a product of human dreams, a tribute to human potential, and a beacon for human hope. Bahut Dhanjavad.
Thank you very much, Mr. Casas Zamora. Dr. Vivek Joshi is a former Indian civil servant and has been serving as an election commissioner of India since February last year. Dr. Joshi brings wide-ranging leadership experience across public finance, government administration, and India's national census, including as Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. May I now invite Dr. Vivek Joshi, Election Commissioner of India, to please address the conference.
Honorable Chief Election Commissioner of India, Mr. Gyanesh Kumar, Honorable Election Commission of India, Dr. Sukhbir Singh Sandhu, Secretary General, International IDEA, Dr. Kevin Casa Zamora, DG IICDEM, Mr. Rakesh Kumar Verma, Excellencies, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I once again welcome you to this India International Conference on Democracy and Election Management 2026. Many of us who are present here work with elections as their continuous responsibility. We know that elections are not just events on the calendar, they are systems that need preparations, coordination, and a steady hand. The Election Commission of India is a constitutional authority which is established under Article 324 of Constitution of India, is entrusted with the responsibility of supervising, directing, and conducting elections for the world's largest democracy. Over the decades, this commission has emerged as the cornerstone of India's democratic framework, withholding the principles of neutrality, transparency, and fairness that are essential for free and fair elections. However, when we speak about elections, we often focus on the outcome on polling days. But much of the work happens long before the first vote is cast. Voter lists have to be maintained, polling locations to be identified, staff needs training, materials to be printed, distributed, and coordination put in place across multiple levels of administration. These tasks may seem routine when taken individually, but together they determine whether voters' experience was smooth and predictable or confusing and difficult. Technology has become central to much of our electoral work. It helps to update voter rolls, plan logistics, and share information with voters. It can make systems more accurate and accessible. The integrated digital platform ECI Net has simplified access to electoral services for voters, officials, political parties alike in India. Real-time dissemination of information, comprehensive webcasting, and digitalization of election data have enhanced our transparency, efficiency, and accountability across the electoral cycle. Professional election administration also depends on people. Election officials, technical teams, field workers, and volunteers all contribute to making the elections possible. Their work requires training, confidence, and problem-solving skills. Many EMBs have invested in professional development so that election staff are better prepared for the challenges they face. The presence of many of the CEOs and senior EMB officials at this conference shows how much value practitioners place on learning from each other. Another part of election work involves planning for uncertainty. Elections can be affected by weather, logistics problems, misinformation, legal disputes, or unexpected events. Over time, EMBs have started approaching these uncertainties through preparedness and risk awareness. The aim is not to eliminate risk, but to know how to manage them in the ways that keep the process credible and steady. Comparative learning helps here. EMBs who are present here operate under different political systems, under different legal systems, yet the challenges they often face look familiar. How to register voters efficiently, how to make the polling accessible, how to communicate clearly with the population, and how to count votes in ways that are trusted. Learning from each other reduces trial and error and highlights the solutions that may not be obvious when we work alone. Elections are part of democracy, but they are also part of public administration. They involve planning, logistics, communications, and service delivery. When these functions work well, voters are more likely to participate and to trust the process. When difficulties arise, confidence can weaken. For this reason, attention to detail matters in election work, and consistency matters even more. This conference gives us an opportunity to step back from our immediate pressures of election cycles and reflect on how we do our work. It brings together EMBs, researchers, students, and practitioners who view elections from different angles. Each perspective contributes something useful. I hope our discussions over the next 3 days will enable meaningful engagement, one that is grounded in experience. They will help us return to our institutions with clearer insights and better ideas. I wish you all productive engagement during this conference, and thank you for your time and patience. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, sir, for those important reflections and for highlighting the imperative of resilient and transparent electoral systems. Dr. Sukhbir Singh Sandhu was also a civil servant and is now serving as the Election Commissioner since March 2024. A highly experienced public administrator, he has led major national reforms in transport and infrastructure, including the rollout of FASTag, and has held top leadership roles such as Chief Secretary of Uttarakhand and Chairman of the National Highways Authority of India. May I now invite Dr. Sukhbir Singh Sandhu, Election Commissioner of India, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Election Commissioner of India, Shri Ganesh Kumar ji, Honorable International IDEA, Mr. Kevan, Director General IICDEM, Mr. Rakesh Verma, distinguished heads and members of EMBs, Excellencies, High Commissioners and Ambassadors, honorable delegates, esteemed colleagues and friends from across the globe, ladies and gentlemen. It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to this historic gathering of election management bodies from nations near and far. Your presence here today reflects a share of the people to choose their representatives freely, fairly, and fearlessly. I am reminded of late Mr. Nelson Mandela's profound statement: the vote is the most powerful, non-violent instrument ever devised for change. Across continents, cultures, and political systems, elections remain the most powerful expression of popular sovereignty. While our institutional frameworks may differ, we are united by a common purpose to uphold the integrity of the electoral process and to ensure that every vote counts and every voice matters. In an era of unprecedented technological change, social transformation, and global interconnectedness, election management has become more complex than ever before. We face challenges that test our institutions. It may be misinformation leading to declining public trust, cyber threats, logistical constraints, and evolving voter expectations. Yet, these challenges also present opportunities. Opportunities to innovate, opportunities to collaborate, and opportunities to reaffirm our shared democratic values. As we all know, elections are not events, they are institutions, built slowly, protected vigilantly, and strengthened collectively. EMBs are more than administrators of polls. You are guardians of public trust, custodians of democratic legitimacy, and stewards of constitutional principles. Your independence, professionalism, and impartiality form the bedrock upon which democratic stability rests. This forum provides a unique platform to exchange best practices, learn from diverse experiences, and strengthen cooperation across borders. Whether it is enhancing voter inclusion, providing electoral technology, safeguarding electoral integrity, or ensuring transparency and accountability, the collective wisdom gathered here is invaluable. Let us use this occasion for the next 3 days, not only to discuss procedures and processes, but also to reflect on purpose. At the heart of every election is a citizen, placing faith in an institution, believing that their choice will be respected. That faith is precious, and it is our collective responsibility to protect it. Over the next 3 days, we will share how several democracies have successfully delivered on inclusion, peace, empowerment, economic development, and other aspirations of its people. As we inaugurate this conference, let us recommit ourselves to the highest standards of electoral excellence. Let us foster a dialogue grounded in mutual respect, sensitivity to national context, and a shared resolve to strengthen democratic governance worldwide. I wish this gathering highly meaningful deliberations over the next 3 days, constructive exchanges, and outcomes that will enrich electoral practices across nations. I also wish you a wonderful stay in India for the next 3 days, 3-4 days. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir, for your address and for underlining the institutional priorities that will guide meaningful electoral strengthening in a rapidly evolving global environment. Shri Gyanesh Kumar is the current Chief Election Commissioner of India and leads the Election Commission. A senior public administrator with an engineering degree from IIT Kanpur, he has served across key government portfolios, including defense, home affairs, and cooperation, and brings deep experience in ensuring free, fair, and transparent elections. May I invite the chair representing India's chairship of the Council of Member States of International IDEA for 2026 and the head of one of the world's most experienced election management bodies, the Chief Election Commissioner of India, Shri Gyanesh Kumar, to deliver the inaugural address and articulate on the overarching theme for the year, democracy for an inclusive, peaceful, resilient, and sustainable world.
Honorable Election Commissioner Dr. Sukhbir Singh Sandhu ji, Honorable Election Commissioner Dr. Vivek Joshi, Secretary General of International IDEA Dr. Kevin Kansas, Director General of IICDEM, Mr. Rakesh Verma, heads of electoral commissions and election management bodies from across the world, excellencies from missions in India, chief electoral officers from various states and union territories of India, distinguished delegates from Indian Institute of Technologies, Indian Institute of Management, National Law Universities, Universities of India, legal experts, media experts, ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to inaugurate this 3-day international conference which is being held in New Delhi. First of all, let me welcome our international delegates, and I hope that our team has been able to take care of you all well and you all are comfortable. India, as we say, is the mother of democracy. When we met each other outside this hall, at the backdrop, you could see the stupa and the pillar of Ashoka, popularly known as where democracy began. It is 600 BC, before the current era. If you would have noticed, at the backdrop itself was a hymn in Sanskrit of Atharva Veda, which is again a millennium before the current era, which talks about village samitis and committees. The backdrop of this conference also talks about Koduvalai, which was a system of voting. And as mentioned in Tamil sculptures, which is 1000 after the current era. All these pointers bring all of us together, not only to celebrate the democracy, but also to understand the future path, the challenges, the expectations of the electors, and how to make this process much, much more smoother, transparent, free, and fair. I should take you all towards a journey and explain as to how Indian elections become one of the largest exercise on planet year after year in terms of logistics, numbers, and transparency. The last year Lok Sabha elections, more than 1 billion voters, more than 640 million exercised their franchisee, more than 1 million polling stations, and roughly 1.8 to 2 crore people involved in this exercise is a feat which is recorded in the docu-series which you just saw a small glimpses of it, and many publications which the Election Commission has brought. Each polling booth in India, roughly has around 970 electors, roughly 300 houses. And the responsibility of the electors and ensuring that all the eligible electors are included in the electoral roll is vested with a booth level officer. The booth level officer is the foundation and is the foundational pillar for the electoral democracy in India. Indian elections, as our constitution says, has been divided into two broad segments. One is the preparation of electoral rolls, and two is the conduct of elections. And as all of you would agree, which we will deliberate in our plenary also, that pure electoral rolls, including each and every eligible elector as per law, is essential to strengthen the democracy and all elections which will be held on the basis of that electoral roll. The second segment is the conduct of elections, which becomes a very, very challenging and logistical affair because a large number of people have to obey and follow the electoral laws and the instructions issued by the election commissions or electoral commissions globally, anywhere, including India. I would also like to share with you an elections which we recently held. In India, the state of Bihar went for its elections recently, a few months back. The first step was purification of electoral rolls, including eligible electors. There is a provision for the elector of any assembly segment to file appeals so that no wrong name gets included and no right name gets excluded. And you will be amazed with the efficiency of the booth level officers, the electoral registration officers and the chief electoral officer of Bihar, that out of 75 million electors, the number of appeals were 0. Amongst tight public scrutiny and the watch of all citizens in Bihar and across the country, the electoral rolls were finalized, and then the elections were held. And another feat which was achieved in these Bihar elections were, we had polling on 2 dates, 6th November and 11th November. Nearly 1 lakh polling stations. And once again, a leading question, how many repolls were required? 0. That was the level of efficiency which was attained by our returning officers, our sectoral magistrates, and our presiding officers in each and every polling booth. And of course, the results showed that few seats were tightly contested, with around 3 lakh votes in each seat, but then 25 could be the margin of one or the other. I mentioned these Bihar elections to you because to give you a feel that the level of contestation and precision required by the electoral management bodies, not only in India, but globally, would have to meet these expectations. During this 3-day conference, which has been carefully designed by Mr. Rakesh in IIIDM and Mr. Kevin from International IDEA, the entire electoral process has been segmented into 36 verticals, along with 7 global themes. And each of these 36 verticals being convened by 36 chief electoral officers of India who head the election process within their states under the supervision of the Election Commission, participated by 2 or 3 election management bodies of the world by choice, participated by professors from Indian Institute of Technologies and IIMs, national law universities, practicing lawyers, and perception managers who work in our media. So there will be around 36 teams which will be working sincerely on each of these segments and bring out reports which will be published widely across the globe in as many languages as possible. We are also working on an atlas of democracy in the world. The draft is almost ready, but it will be shared with the member states today in the plenary session for corrections and additions if necessary. And that atlas comes out as a synopsis of the electoral processes, how democracy functions, the size of democracy, and how the electoral commissions function in that country. In brief, these are the few outcomes which are very professionally designed for this international conference and will keep you busy for next 2.5 days. The Election Commission of India, its protocol division, and all the chief electoral officers will take care of you well, but these outcomes are necessary so as to build up a necessary database and contents which can, in summary, be called as the encyclopedia of democracies across the globe. With these little words, I formally inaugurate this international conference and wishing you all the best. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, sir, for that visionary address and for setting the tone for IIDEM 2026 with clarity, purpose, and global relevance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes the inaugural session of this conference. We look forward to the next sessions as we continue 3 days of meaningful exchange, structured deliberation, and global cooperation towards stronger democracies and trusted elections. Do remain inside the hall until our main guests on the dais have left the hall. We will prepare for the next segment of the program, which is a closed-door session of heads of EMBs and delegations participating in the India International Conference on Democracy, Election Management. This will be for the plenary session in the Summit Hall. All other delegates, please refer to your conference schedule to attend the parallel thematic sessions that are taking place in the different halls. Please remain in your places until our dignitaries on the dais have left the hall. Thank you. And then you can proceed to the next hall.